right now we're going to turn our attention to some very sad news that broke yesterday morning as it was announced that the former Arsenal and Everton striker Kevin Campbell had died at the age of 54 after a short illness. talkSPORT paid tribute to him throughout the day.
Campbell. That's the inspiration we've been looking for. And Kevin Campbell has provided it.
99% of us have character defects. Supercat didn't have one. He didn't have one character. And everybody, all the clubs that he played for, will say what a fantastic player he was. But I'm not just you guys in to say, he was an even better human being.
He was just amazing with us as young lads. He was amazing with the elder ones. He was amazing with the tea people. He was amazing with the kit men. Just as a person around the whole place. I learned so much from him in how to be a proper captain.
Had such a positive attitude, I felt, to life. Even just remember him coming through the ranks from the youth team and then into the senior setup, and everyone immediately loved him. He was one of those infectious characters in the dressing room. He really was. Such a sad day.
Campbell scored 148 goals in 542 appearances across spells with 8 clubs during his career. He won 4 major trophies with Arsenal, also played for Leyton Orient, Leicester, Nottingham Forest, Trabzonspor, Everton, West Brom and Cardiff. He made his final appearance as a player in February 2007 before moving into broadcasting and becoming a part of the talkSPORT family. His son, Tyrese Campbell, who plays for Stoke, posted a wonderful tribute to his dad on social media, Kassam. I'm not sure if you saw it, but
yeah, I did, yeah.
He wrote, "I appreciate that my dad was admired by many and the outpouring of love has been some comfort for us as a family, so thank you for that at such a difficult time. The pain of this is indescribable, and as a son you look at your dad as invincible. He's my idol, the one who I wanted to be when I grew up. He was the life and soul of every party and room he blessed, a 1 in a million person that was loved by everyone, a special, special person. I'll miss you, Dad," is what Tyrese Campbell wrote yesterday after this sad news emerged. And I mean, he sums him up wonderfully there, Tyrese, by saying he was the life and soul, because he very much was that. I knew Kevin obviously I'm aware of him as a player and saw him as a player, but I knew him more as a broadcaster and met him because of broadcasting. And he was that person. When you walked into a room, he lit up that room, because he was infectious with the way he carried himself. I mean, the fact that he wore a little dicky bow a lot of the time kind of just showed a little bit of an eccentricity about him, but it kind of set him apart from everybody else as well.
Yeah.
A true gentleman is how I always think of him.
Yeah, like you. I met him through broadcasting. I remember chatting to him about his boy Tyrese when he was at Man City, chatted to him a good bit, and then obviously he went to Stoke and and I also knew Noel Quinn, who knew Kevin very well. Jimmy Carter knew Kevin. Look, there's one thing you can say about Kevin is that as soon as you meet him, the warmth, and he's got a great voice, by the way.
Oh, I know.
I used to say to him, your voice is perfect, for not only radio, but for TV, but just he had a really lovely voice. And I read Gary Jacobs' article in the Times, and I spoke to Gary yesterday morning, and he said, he's an Arsenal fan, Gary, who works for the Times, and he said, I hope I've done Kevin justice, because he's such a lovely man. And I said, I'm sure you will, Gary, and I've got to say, he's done a great article this morning about him and his brothers. He's one of 5 brothers, he's got 5 sisters as well, him growing up in Brixton, and and everything he did in his career, and I thought it was a really lovely piece. And look, loads of people. Perry Groves was fantastic yesterday on talkSPORT. I got in the car and listened to Perry, and brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I know we had a little bit from him just then, but let's hear a little bit more, because he did join talkSPORT in the morning yesterday, and he gave this touching tribute about his former teammate.
This sounds really. If people pass away when they're 75, 80, I can sort of, I can process that. I can go, okay, when someone that I've known when I was at Arsenal in the youth team, and passes away, like for Kev's family, for his immediate family, children, mums, I really can't comprehend. Yeah, and like there will be a huge outpouring of love and respect for Kev, a huge, and everything will be heartfelt. Trust me, he was such a fantastic person.
And there is a huge outpouring of love for Kevin Campbell because he was so adored by so many people. And the fact that I think most clubs will refer to him as Super Kev partly tells you just the impact that he made as a person at all of those clubs. Many of them who he played for put out statements yesterday. Everton are saying, for example, that they, at the start of the new season, will look to pay tribute to him when that season kicks off. I mean, he became their first black captain, so he made history, and he was a pioneer in that sense of what he did in his footballing career.
Do you know he got 59 goals as a youth player?
Did he?
In one season.
Wow.
59.
Well, I was going to ask you about the player. What can you remember what he was like as a player?
Well, he was a real powerhouse. And, look, there's one thing coming into groups, and look, he was joining Arsenal at the time. I will say joined Arsenal. He's come through the sort of academy and got lots and lots of goals. And he had top players around him, people like Ian Wright. Yeah. Noel Quinn was starting his career. He's a couple of years older than Kevin. You're trying to break into that team. And he always made an impact of doing something at a club. The goals he got for Arsenal, when the year that he was part of the title-winning team, he also did that with Everton. He was one of them unique players. Kevin was blessed with a lot of pace. He was quite instant in his ability to shoot. He would hit things early. He sort of had this goal-scoring record. From West Brom fans to Everton fans to Arsenal fans, he's had an impact at every club he's gone. And, that's a testament to someone who's done really, really well in their career. One thing that always stands out to me, Nat, was when you meet someone, they come on the radio and they say, "Are you Natalie? Are you Cass?" And it's done with warmth. And it's the first time...
I was just going to say that.
It's always done with warmth, and he makes you feel at ease straight away. That was Kevin.
Yeah. And he had, and as you say, that iconic voice that when he laughed as well, he was infectious, absolutely. Yeah. And there are many people that I'm sure we all know, Cass, who are really feeling this. I've got a very good friend who's very good friends with Kevin Campbell and his family. And also Sophie Nicolau, who joins us. Yeah. She does the Highbury podcast, and he had been a regular contributor to that. And I was messaging her yesterday, and obviously she's very devastated by this news. As I mentioned, he was Everton's first black captain, played with a young Wayne Rooney on Merseyside, and Rooney posted on social media yesterday his own tribute. He said, absolutely devastated to hear the news about Kev, thinking of all his family and friends. Kev was a great teammate, but more importantly, a brilliant person who helped me a lot in my earlier years. And that is something, again, that I have seen a lot of on social media. A lot of people paying tribute to just how he helped people in their careers, not just on the pitch. I'm talking about fellow broadcasters, people who might have just been starting out. I think Harry Simeo, who works for talkSPORT, likewise said the same thing. When he was starting his podcast, Kevin was one of the first guys that agreed to go on it and always wanted to help him out. He was just a generous guy. Yeah,
and fair play. I mean, we're not doing this from a place of, everyone's nice when they leave this planet, and Kev was. And it's the Ray Wilkins effect. You know how Ray was felt about, where you're so liked by not just players, but the media itself, and also people that listen to him and see that he was a giving player and person. That's testament to him as a person.
Yeah, it certainly is. His legacy in football will continue then with his son Tyrese at Stoke, and we, of course, extend our condolences to Kevin's family and friends. A little bit later on, one of his former teammates, Jimmy Carter, will join us around about 8:30 as he pays his tribute to Kevin Campbell, who passed away yesterday, age 54. He will be missed greatly. Joining us this morning is one of Kevin's former teammates at Arsenal, Jimmy Carter. Jimmy, good morning. Thank you for being with us today. I know it's a difficult time for many to speak, but we do appreciate you being with us. First of all, how are you?
Yeah, of course, yesterday was absolutely devastating news for everyone who knew Kevin. Devastating for his family, and we knew that Kevin wasn't well. Us former players, we were kept updated somewhat in terms of his illness. We knew he was battling and fighting. for his life. And still, when the news came through yesterday morning, it was still an incredible shock. And of course, thoughts go out to his family and his immediate good friends and close friends. And it's just such a loss. 54 years old. Yeah. Just a fantastic person. Kevin really was.
Jimmy, you was with, I think, Kevin for 4 years at Arsenal, because you left a similar time in '95, didn't you? When Kevin left, you left as well.
Yeah, hi, Cass. Yeah, absolutely. I joined in 1991, Liverpool, and Kevin was one of the first players at Arsenal to welcome me with that big smile he had. And, yeah, we just formed a real friendship and bond. And Kevin, as you know, within football, the things came through the ranks, was a fantastic player for the youth side, record goal scorer for the Arsenal youth, winning the FA Youth Cup, and came through. And when I came to the club, he'd already got into the first team, played a big part in the Arsenal winning the league title in the 90-91 season. But he had stiff competition, but he wasn't afraid to fight for his place. Of course, you had Alan Smith there, Ian Wright, Paul Merson, all top-class international players for England, and he had to fight his way through, but he did. He came through, and what a fantastic player. He really was a fantastic centre-forward, and went on to fantastic things after he left Arsenal as well. Great servants for many clubs, Nottingham Forest, as you mentioned, Everton, in Turkey for a little while. The contribution he made to all them football clubs was fantastic, and just hearing and looking at the tributes and the outpouring of emotion yesterday on all the media platforms is a testament to Kevin and what he meant to so many.
Yeah, Jimmy, as players, you spend a lot of time together in dressing rooms, and I didn't obviously play alongside Kevin, but I met him in media and done shows with him, and the incredible smile. The real kindness he just was to be on board with, and being in that dressing room with him, having that smile, and he's got. Oh, I said to Kevin when I first started, "You got an amazing voice, Kevin. You got to stay in this industry."
Yeah, he was incredible, Cass, and being in the dressing room, he was larger than life, And what I would say, he was a very unselfish player, very very selfless. He was more than happy to forsake the glory, if you like, playing up front with the likes of, like I mentioned, Alan Smith being right. He'd done do the dirty work in, ruffled defenders, and he wouldn't mind if he didn't score. Obviously, all strikers want to score, but it's long as he was doing his bit for the team. And he was a fantastic, centre forward, and having him in that dressing room, and like Cass, he was larger than life, and. Yeah, he was just infectious. He just had that big smile, and he was always encouraging players, and encouraging players on the pitch as well, whether he was playing well or not. He'd always encourage his teammates to do well, and he had such a positive attitude. And he'd be really sorely missed. He really will.
I mean, that is the overriding message, I think, that we're seeing over the last 24 hours, that he was so generous with his time, with wanting to help people. I've said it, we talked about it earlier on, Jimmy, with people who are up and coming in this broadcasting world, if you like, who turned to Kevin, and Kevin would always give his time because he wanted to help. And that's what we're seeing more of, and people are here talking and telling us more of these stories about just being like that. Kevin was just so generous.
Yeah, and a lot of people outside of football wouldn't see that side of things, no. But you're absolutely right, Natalie. He was exactly that, and it's particularly to the young players. When he came out yesterday on one of the platforms saying how much Kevin had helped him as a young player coming through, as a 16, 17-year-old, and he would give his time. He'd go across to youngsters who were just finishing training, and he'd ask them, and he'd pass on tips and advice. And I'm sure they were invaluable words coming from a player like Kevin Campbell, who'd achieved so much for a young player to have that advice and that shoulder to lean on at times. And he was like that, fantastic in all walks of life, and just a fantastic human being. I'm really going to miss him. I still can't believe that he's no longer around.
Oh, Jimmy. Well, thank you for being with us. We really do appreciate you sparing the time. And reflecting on a wonderful man that was Kevin Campbell. Thank you, Jimmy.
Cheers, Jimmy. Catch up soon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Natalie. Thank you.
That was Jimmy Carter there. And talking about the tributes for him, quite incredible when you consider that he scored more Premier League goals than any other Englishman, yet he was never capped by the England team. Which is quite incredible, really. Yeah. Quite an oversight, you feel.
I think one of Kevin's problems at that time would be England's depth of talent.
I was going to,
No, it was immense. And, you know, he was in a group of players that, you know, you had to be at the very best and top goal scorer. And look, even at Arsenal, the challenges of Arsenal at that particular time as well. You know, you're talking Alan Smith, Ian Wright, and the top quality centre forwards.
Yeah.
So he's battling. And, I was going to say to Jimmy, because what struck me about Kevin is how smart he was when he would come in. You know,
the
Dickie bow and everything.
Absolutely, but that just summed up the gentleman that was Kevin Campbell. And I think everyone who knew him, worked with him, will just say that. He was just a true gent who was so warm, so kind and so giving. Well,
you can tell with his dad's tribute that his son gave, Tyrese, who's a footballer, of what he meant to him as a dad. And you can tell how well he's been brought up, because I thought his tribute was just phenomenal. You know, from a son to write what he said about his dad. And obviously, great parenting there. And, Kevin was very proud of his kids. He's one of 10. He was one of 10 kids.
Incredible.
That unity within a family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday was a very, very sad day for football because of the announcement of Kevin Campbell passing away. But earlier in that morning, we obviously heard about the Millwall goalkeeper, Matija Sarkic, who sadly had also passed away whilst in Montenegro, just 26 years old. There's still no further details of what has happened with him, but there was a story that I saw that I needed to get to. I thought it was really important. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of the referee Bobby Madley. His brother Andrew Madley is also a referees in the Premier League, but Bobby Madley I think now is part of the EFL officiating officials, and he put a story on social media I thought was really worth mentioning. He said that he had met him in 2016 when he was refereeing the under-19 Euros qualifying game between Montenegro and France, and Matija was the captain, which as a goalkeeper he said isn't always the easiest for a referee, you know, in terms of conversations and running up and down the pitch. You're going to have those chats with the goalkeeper. Anyhow, he said in the tunnel before the game, Matija came down, shook hands, and Bobby Madley doesn't know much Montenegrin as a language, so he sort of did that thing that a lot of people might do, speak in a broken English to try and have a conversation with Matija. And he said, I was putting these hand gestures and ridiculous facial expressions and just basically trying to say, is there anyone in your team that speaks English that I can just speak to before the game? And Matija was like looking at him and sort of in his own broken English responded by saying, 9, speak English, him. 9, speak English, him. And so Bobby Madley then sort of said, oh, you do understand a little bit of English. And this is good. Let's speak some more English then. And then out of nowhere, Matija just spoke in fluent English and said, yeah, my English isn't too bad. It's my brother Oliver. We're from Grimsby. I just wanted to see how long you'd carry on this nonsense on for. Which I just thought was a lovely story that Bobby has shared, because he's obviously a little bit of a joker, Matija Sarkic. And as he says there, he done me like a kipper. And you can imagine that sort of awkward, trying to speak to someone you don't think can speak English, a bit of pigeon broken English, if you like, that he's trying to have a conversation with someone who secretly has all along been able to speak fluent English because he was born here, and he was just having a bit of a laugh with him. And I just thought that was a nice story also to share this morning. But yeah, football losing some wonderful people clearly yesterday, with Matija Sarkic passing away just 26, and also Kevin Campbell 54, both being announced yesterday.